Alright, let's see what this looks like here. Bear with me, just gonna try to get this up here. Alright, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna basically create a budget that's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. There are different budget templates you can use. So for starters, like I said, this is a blank Excel spreadsheet. You just basically go into Excel, you create file, and then go to new or blank workbook, and then it'll create this right here. So you can utilize Excel. I have one in Google Sheets as well. Google Sheets is free. If you don't want to pay for Excel, you can utilize Google Sheets, and it's pretty simple, pretty standard format. It's going to be pretty comparable to this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you one because they actually have this template on Excel, which you can search for this. This is basically a standard personal monthly budget. That's, like I said, this is all fake, but they basically made one. But for what I'm trying to do for a simple budget, this does not really meet what I like. Like, this is kind of in depth for, like an entry level budget. So this, like I said, just seems like a lot for someone that doesn't really know how to do a budget, which I'm sure a lot of people do. But like I said, this is not for those people that know how to do a budget. This is for those who don't. So like I said, this has actual projected. There's just a lot of information on this. So if this is up to something you can utilize, or if this is up to your skill set, then definitely use this. Because it can be handy. It can be, like I said, more categorized. But I'm gonna do not this. So let's get into creating a very simple, straightforward budget. Right. This is just for like you, yourself, your household, whatever you want to do. So for example, I'm gonna call out, just for saying sake, we're gonna do. Oh, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry, bear with me. So we're gonna do, just like I said, very simple, straightforward. So B4, okay, B. These are your columns, A through Z, all the way through, are up here. So if I call like B4, it's just the cell. That's all. It's on line 4, and it is column B. Okay, that's just so, like I said, later on this will make sense. But I'm just prefacing because, like I said, I'm gonna call out cells, and you're gonna be like, what the hell is he talking about? But like I said, it'll make sense in a little while. So to start, we'll just do monthly bills, right? This is your category. Just type it in, monthly bills. You can tap that. If you tap this little edge button twice, it'll basically make it so that way you can see the full name of the category. You can get fancy if you want. You can use bold. Like I said, I'm trying to just kind of keep it as streamlined as possible. So like I said, monthly bills, and then basically income you can put here. Like I said, you can basically use whatever you want. Income, money coming in, whatever you want to use. I put income because that's what you're going to make, right? So monthly bills. So let's do this. Income, and then your actual, well, actually we can just do it this way. We'll just do rent, for example, right? Because everyone has to pay rent, whether it's rent, mortgage. You can do whatever your exact detail is. Mortgage. So if it's rent, put rent, obviously. Mortgage, put mortgage. Pretty simple. And let me add the actual rent amount. That'd be great. So to add a line here, so that way you're not actually just like, oh, I messed up, so let me, I gotta put in something here. Okay, so all you have to do is right click, and then I don't have Apple, so I apologize. And then insert. So see how that created that separation there? So if you ever need to add a line here, right click, insert, it'll add a line. Same thing here. If you need to add a line here, it'll literally add. So for example here, if you want a line in between these two, same thing, right click, insert. Okay, see how it creates the added line in the middle? It separates the two. If you mess up, very simple, go up here, undo, and then it'll bring it back to how it was. Okay? So monthly bills, income, and then amount, or bill amount, I should say. Bill amount. And like I said, this is a rough, walkthrough. Like I said, I'm not a professional. I'm just doing this for fun, more or less, and just trying to help people that may or may not need this. And like I said, on YouTube, there's a bunch of different ones. Like I said, if you don't like my template or how I'm doing this, just go on YouTube. There's a bunch of help out there. But I just figured, like I said, the ones that I've seen seem pretty in depth, and there's just like a lot of lines. It gets kind of confusing. This is just going to be top down. So this is going to be, like I said, bills. This is what your monthly bills are. This is the category of, mortgage, car payment, cell phone, or here this is the amount of the bill. So left to right, right, monthly bill category, the bill amount, $10, $20, $30, and then your income to pay the bill, right? Or actually what we should do, let's do this. We don't really need income. Let's do date payment. Just because it'll help you stay organized a little bit. Like I said, make sure, you can see how this is kind of overlapping here. You want it all to show up in the same cell. So right here, double click kind of quickly. There we go. And like I said, I know this is going to be frustrating for a lot of people who have Excel experience. Like I said, just understand that this is not for you. This is for people who don't really know how to do a budget or work Excel really either. So bill amount, right? Rent mortgage, usually rent is going to be, could be $875, could be $500, could be $1,000, could be $2,000, right? Could be $10,000, whatever your amount is, put it in here. So just for example's sake, we'll just keep a nice round number. We'll do 1,000, right? And then we'll do money just to kind of make it so that way it's all formatted correct. So this whole line is going to be dollars, right? So it's all just going to be numbers. So what you can do is highlight this row by just left click on your mouse. It's going to highlight the whole thing, and then click on your number sign right here, accounting number, okay? And see how all it does is change this to a number, but it also highlights all these other cells here. So whatever number I put in now, if I put in $10 here, it's going to have a dollar sign, okay? So it's just for simple formatting only. So rent mortgage, $1,000 a month. All right, when do you pay it, right? The first of the month, due date. Okay, great. So let's do whatever the first of the month is, right? So 1/1/2026 or whatever month it is. So in this case, we'll do next month just for saying sake. 5/1/2025. Automatically went to date. So now you know the date you have to pay it. You know the amount. You know what it's for. Okay? So what it's for, amount, date payment, perfect. That's all we need. Alright. So now, like I said, this is just going to be categorizing all the way down through. So let's go through all of your bills. Just try to, if you don't know what they are, go on your bank account. Try to, basically figure out what your monthly bills are, or use invoices that you're sent, or whatever it is, from the bank, from whoever. So we'll do car payment. We'll just keep it generic. Not like Bentley, Mercedes, whatever. Keep it simple. Car payment. So let's say $450, right? Give or take. That's about the average. And let's say it's like middle of the month, okay? So say 5/15/2025. All right, now you know what your payment is for next month. Utility bill. Utility. Let's say it's going to range, right? So if it's, depending on your location demographics, it's going to range. If you're in a hot location, summers, you're going to utilize your AC more than winters. So let's just keep a nice, on average, your monthly utility bill maybe, what, in the high end, like say 140, okay? Might be cheaper, but whatever yours is specifically. And then that's usually like an end of the month type of deal. So let's say 5/25/25. Okay, so that's utility bill. Let's see, credit card, just for saying sake. We'll say 250. And that's usually kind of a middle of the month thing as well. 10/2025. So now what else? Let's do, say, childcare. I don't have any kids, so I might be way off on what childcare actually is. I think I might be close. So I'll say like $600 a week, give or take. Like I said, all depending on location as well. Or 600 a month, sorry. I don't know if it's a week or month, but we'll do 600 just for saying sake. End of the month, so 5/30/2025. Ooh, I totally messed up there. Formatting issue. So let's go up here and fix that. There we go. Let's see, how many days are in May? It's 30, right? Oh no, there's 31. Oh, whatever. We'll do, just in case it's an off day, like a holiday or something. And so let's see, internet bill. I mean, you could put that with utilities, I guess. But we'll do internet separate, just for. And like I said, you can organize it however you want. If you want to put internet with utilities, like I said, just figure out what your electric bill is and your internet bill, and then just combine them. It's not that hard. But we'll say $100 here, and then we'll do 5, 25, 25. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to think. Cell phone. So cell. Whoops. Oh, my caps are on. Nice. Okay, so cell phone, roughly 125. Like I said, that's per line. So if you have kids, you know, wife, whatever, add to that, whatever the difference is. If it's like 350 a month, just put 350. 2025. Alright, great. So like I said, so this is loosely based, okay? This isn't going to be perfect. If you need to add something here, like I said, add something, you know, like say college loans, for example, in my case, right? Never going to pay them off, going to die with them. Tremendous experience. Alright. So college loans, let's say they're like, I don't know, let's say 300 a month, I guess, depending on how long you went to school. Oh, that did not work. Just do 300. So just type in 300. It'll put the dollars in there. Why does that look so weird? There we go. Okay, so all I did there was it looked, I'll go back just to kind of redo it for you, just in case. So if this is formatting, so this is, like I said, it should look like that, but it looks like this, so it looks weird, right? So you click in here, go to this little format painter, it looks like a paintbrush. Just left click once, and then you just touch it once. There you go, done. Okay, so that fixes formatting. Same thing with this. What is happening? Why are these rows getting all whacked out? Okay. And then, so college loans, that's usually like middle of the month deal as well. Let's see, 15, 2025. Okay, great. So let's, like I said, this is very loose, very simple. If you need to add more lines, like I said, just keep going down the list, you know, typing in whatever you have here, and then amount here. Well, say amount, and then, like I said, date that you want to pay it, which, like I said, it doesn't really matter. I only put date in there just to keep you, like, on pace. So that way, like, for example, if you want to, you know, you paid rent this month ahead of time, what I used to do on my sheet, and like I said, do whatever works for you. You don't have to do it my way. Don't care. Just, like I said, just giving you prompts to try to help. So, like, for example, if you paid your rent, like, say, like, this month, it's the 22nd already. So if you paid your rent for this month already, okay, great. So mark this green, okay, just for accountability. Okay, great. Now you know that's paid, okay? These other ones, obviously they're middle of the month, so you didn't pay those yet, okay? Or like say your cell phone, you paid that too. Okay, great. So now you know these are already done. So now that's all, those are already checked out. So like I said, it just kind of lets you know, okay, I didn't pay this, I did pay this. And like I said, just do whatever works. If you want to use colors, if you want to put a check mark next to it, whatever you want to do, okay? I can just undo actually. Alright, so what we'll do is though, we'll keep it accountable as far as, let's see what our total is, just to kind of give us an idea. So I'm going to show you how to do just a very simple formula, nothing crazy. So put an equal sign, okay, all I did was put an equal sign, and then I put a little close right here, sum, and then I kind of drag this, oh, it won't let me, it won't let me do sum, because I did it wrong, that's why. Alright, so sum, and then you basically can drag this up. See how it's going to highlight your cells? So it's just going to highlight all of your cells, okay? And then you close it, enter. There you go. So now that's your total amount of monthly bills for the month, okay? And if you have any questions, like I said, or say like later on, so see this highlights all lines, okay? But let's say later on, for example, you know, you got another bill or something comes up. Let's see, so I forgot insurance, okay, so like car insurance, for example. So I would go on any of these lines up here, between here and here, and I would just add a line. So like right here, I'd right click on the mouse, insert, and now see I'm going to add another line in there for insurance. So insurance, and then say hopefully your insurance is cheap. Mine is not. 300. Seeing that adds that line in, but it also updates the sum. so you don't have to worry about changing this formula, okay? If you go, for example, if you go below the line, obviously, and you type in, you know, what can I even use here? I'm sorry, it's early in the morning over here. Alright, so let's do like a food budget, right? So monthly food, groceries, whatever, say 400 for the month. So if you go under this, obviously it's not going to update, right? So this is here, and it's not going to change this number because it's underneath. So what you have to do is put it above, just like I did with insurance. Okay, so like I said, I'll add that in though just as a scenario, just to kind of work through. So insert, and then down to B12, and then put food. Okay, so now food 400, and now this line is going to go from 3265 to 3665. See, like so. 3665, perfect. Now we know I updated. You've accounted for it. Everything is great. Food, like I said, you can do end of the month, so 531, 2025. What else? Insurance, that's usually like a middle of the month deal, so we'll do 515 for that also. Alright, but what this does is that it gives you an idea what, you know, what you're looking at. So you're looking at a total amount, oh, my fault. You're looking at a total amount of 3665, which like I said is a sum of all the lines. And like I said, if you get confused or say you're not capturing a line, like say, for example, like this is off 1, okay? So like see how this is off now. And if you're ever like, is it right, is it wrong, I don't really know, just double click in it and you'll see where the box goes. So then you can be like, oh, I didn't capture this line right here. Okay, like this 1000 is not captured. So all I have to do, come over here, left click, hold it, and then push it up. That's it. See how I did that? Just push it up one, release, you're good to go, and then you can just press enter. Gone. So that, like I said, highlights all rows now. All rows are captured. We'll double check again. Okay, perfect. Everything's captured. Perfect. Alright, so now, how do we know, like I said, what do we make? We have no idea what we make, right? We only know what we spend. So we spend $36.65 a month, every month. So now we have to figure out, okay, what do we actually make? So now there's a couple ways to do this. I'm going to do income on the bottom here. And what I'll do is income, because that's what we make. I'm just going to type it, just very simple. Income, what we make. And I'll bold it. And then expense, which is, like I said, what we spend every month. Well, we can do monthly, whatever, monthly expense. Whatever you want to put in there, as long as you know what it means. It doesn't really matter what I put, it matters what you put and if you know what it is. So income, monthly expense, okay? So the best way to do this is, let's say, if you're lucky, you get paid a salary, right? So if you get paid a salary of, say, $52,000 a year, all right? So income is $52,000, just for easy round number sake. So this is if your salary, okay? So this is a salary. So 52,000, and then your monthly expense would be this number. So equals, all I did was press equals in the cell, and then I'm just going to click this, because that's your total. C15 is your total. So there you go. Alright, but now the issue here is that you don't know, okay, make $52,000 a year, but we're not doing it by the year, we're doing it by the month, right? Okay, so that's a problem, because it doesn't make sense. So $52,000 a year, you have to figure out how much you actually make a month. So you take this, so equals this number, so 52,000, and you can do it basically one of two ways. You can do it, the simplest way would be 52,000, right, a year divided by 12, because obviously there's 12 months in a year. Like I said, not trying to insult anyone's intelligence out here, not trying to be mansplained, I'm just trying to basically show you some scenarios. So you take 52,000 divided by 12, because there's 12 months in a year, that's your monthly. So now you're looking at monthly income. Monthly income up here, okay? So let me do it this way. So we'll do monthly income, we'll do total income here. So total income here. So monthly income, so we should actually move this over as well. Monthly expense, so let's move this over one, okay? So delete this, enter. Now we'll do equals, same thing. Okay, so all I did was move a cell over, and we're going to do this. Okay, so equals that number because that's our monthly expense. So now you have these two, and this is just a formatting thing. There's a lot of threes. It's a repeater. So all you do with that is go up here. Oh, my bad. Opposite direction. There we go to 2. And then if you want to format it, you can. Go dollar. This is all just nonsense, though. Okay. So monthly income, and then your monthly expense, we can move over here. All I did was copy paste. So control. Well, let's just do it this way. I'll show you. So the easiest way to do it, I did it by a prompt. I can do it on the keyboard, which is Control C to copy, Control V to paste. But if you don't know how to do that, that's fine. All you have to do is right click on this. You'll see copy. And see how it highlights. And then all you have to do is click in the cell again, right click, and then paste. Okay? See how it pasted that in there. Which, like I said, we don't want it there, but that was just for example. Okay? So now monthly expense, monthly income. All right. Total income right here, 52,000. Okay. How do I want to work this? I could do total expense too for the year, just so you can kind of see what's the best way to do it. I'm trying to not make it too convoluted either, though, so it's not like super confusing. Let's just keep it to monthly, because monthly it's just like simpler. So let's just do equals. So now basically equals this minus, all I'm doing is minus sign, and then that. Okay, and all I'm doing there was I used arrows. I used the up arrow and down arrow to basically do that calculation. Okay, so F19 equals F19, or you can click. So I'll even show you how to do it with clicking, because like I said, I know I'm doing it a little bit quicker with prompts. So, but for those of you who don't know how to do it that way, just basically type in equal sign. Okay, I'll start over. Equals, use your mouse, left click. Okay, see how that highlights? And then minus, and then same thing, down one, left click once. See, now it's in there, perfect. That's what you want. This minus that, top minus bottom, okay? And then press enter. There you go. So that's the difference. So the difference is that. Okay, so now you know that you have this much left over every single month. So it's pretty straightforward, I believe. A lot simpler than the other template that they gave us. But like I said, so this is, you know, very simple. Your monthly bill category, and then your bill amount, and then your date payment. Just like I said, that's just more of a check, like I said, just for you to know, okay, I pay it this day, did I pay it or not? And then like I said, this is your total amount down here. Okay, and you can put total next to it, like if you really want to. I know what it is, you know what it is. If you click in there, if you're like, what is this number? You'll see the sum and you'll be like, oh, it's just the total of everything. Okay, so pretty straightforward. And then obviously your monthly income is this minus divided by 12, right? Because there's 12 months in a year. That's what it is per month. So another thing that I'll go over really quick is, what if you don't know what you make a year, right? That's a problem, okay? Because then you don't know what your monthly income is. So let's eliminate this. And see, the formula will stay here. So like I said, you don't have to do it again. You can just leave it, all right? But in this case, you might have to adjust it because, you know, we did it by a salary. So the last scenario was salary. This one is going to be hourly, okay? So let's leave this here for now. So total income, let's say you make $20 an hour, all right? So what you're going to do is total income, and I wouldn't calculate for overtime because overtime comes and goes, obviously. What I would calculate for, just to play it safe for yourself, is, you know, I make $20 an hour. You know, if I work 40 hours a week, 20 times 40, okay? So the way to do this would be equals $20 an hour, okay, because that's what you make, and whatever it is. If you make $30 an hour, $40 an hour, that number goes right there, okay? So equals whatever your hourly rate, $20 for this example, an hour, and then I'm going to put in a multiply sign, so just basically a little asterisk there. On my laptop, it's Shift 8, so that's 20 $20 an hour, right, times how many hours you work is 40 hours a week, right? If you're full time, it's 40 hours a week. So just type in 40. That's it. $20 an hour times 40. So now you've made 800 hours a month, okay? So now obviously that's an issue because you're short. All right. Well, actually, that's not correct because it's times 4. So I apologize. That's incorrect. So we do 800 times 40 times 4. Okay. So times 4. Oh, not that. Because there's 4 weeks in a month. Okay. There might be the occasional 5th week. Obviously, here and there, I think it's like twice a year. There's a 5th week in the month. But for safety's sake, like I said, if it's just your first budget, you're just trying to figure out just the basics of it, I would just keep it simple and keep it at 4 weeks. So just so you're not confused by the formula, it's $20 an hour. You don't have to type in a dollar sign or anything, just equals 20. So $20 an hour times 40 hours in a week, so it's 1 week. So that equals your 1 week right here, and then times 4 because there's 4 weeks in a month. Now this number should update, so 3,200. Okay, so see that? And you can do it on a calculator too if you want to just double check your work. You know, you can use a calculator or your phone calculator and just do, you know, $20 an hour times 40 times 4. And you'll get the same number. But, like I said, for this scenario alone, if you don't know what you make salary-wise, and you do work 40 hours consistently, that's a good way to do it. So just do, you know, your hourly rate, whether it's $20, $30, whatever, times your hours of 40, and then times 4 weeks. So this would be, like I said, your difference, because this is your monthly income. Sorry, I keep pressing that because I'm using the keypad. So, like I said, this is your total monthly income minus monthly expense equals your difference, 465. So you're 465 in the negative. So you probably need like a part-time job or something like that, or, you know, overtime if you can do that every single week, which, you know, most likely not, but that would be the best way to do it. But like I said, so this shows you at least what your monthly expenses are, your total income for the month, your monthly expenses amount, your monthly income, and then total difference. Okay? So that's simple, right? It's pretty straightforward. So like I said, this is a simple sample budget. Like I said, very simple, very easy. It's just 3 columns. It's just what you're paying, what the amount is, date you're paying. If you don't want to do the date, don't do the date. Like if you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this stuff, okay, great, get rid of it. You don't need that really. You just need to know what you're paying monthly and what the category is. And then obviously just the sum is going to be the biggest challenge probably for some people. But like I said, you literally just type it in exactly how I did it, and then you drag the mouse, like I said, up these numbers, and it'll highlight all the numbers. Okay? So like I said, simple, easy budget. Like I said, nothing crazy. And like I said, you know now, okay, I'm $465 less a month. So I have a deficit or a negative amount, and I have to figure out how to compensate for that or pick up a side job or something that makes sense. Okay? Okay, great. So that's it. That's it for me. I just wanted to, like I said, I don't know why. I've been trying to do this budget thing for the last couple days. It's been keeping me up at night for some reason. So I'm just going to put it out there. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to comment. I'll respond to you in the comments on YouTube. If you want a more in-depth budget, I could make you a more in-depth budget, or I could give you a template. Like I said, if you want this template and you want to make your own, I can do that for you as well. Just like I said, comment in the comment section, and I will try to help you out. But as for now, that's it for me. I appreciate your time. Hopefully this helps some of you out there that are just trying to get a grasp of how to make a budget and, you know, hold yourself accountable, because I think the market is going to be a problem this year. I think we're going into a recession, but I'm not going to get political today. So, like I said, just trying to help out and trying to give people the tools they need to succeed. So, like I said, if you guys need anything or have any questions, let me know, and I'll help you guys out. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, tuning in,